We're a go. Okay, that goes out to Mark Gaudreau's niece, who apparently loves our theme song.
Yes, and
So we
she's
have
singing it out loud.
we should put it up on iTunes. Oh, there you go. We have at least one fan who's not
I
in
know.
the
Exactly. So do we have 30 followers yet?
no. We got a flurry and it went up to like 23 or 24. Like, shame on these guys. Shame on these guys. And it was Adam, Corey, our biggest fan, Trevor D, and Randy are the four we got.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Maybe we're up to 25. I don't know. But still, kind of disappointing in a 32 team league that with 33 GMs that we don't have at least 30 people.
We're gonna have to start calling out the GMs of the teams that are not following us. They're not.
It is sad. And
Yeah.
it's not sad for us. It's sad for them.
Yep.
Sad for
It's
them. And Vince
so.
B, you should, if you want lots to say about me, you should be saying it through my YouTube channel. So there. Okay, I've got to post the link so you can talk for a minute while I let people
Okay.
know where we are and what we're doing.
So, well, tonight, what we are going to be talking about, making our predictions for who's going to, we already said who's going to win their division and where we think everybody's going to be for the division. So now we're going to say who's going to make it to the conference finals in each conference, who's going to make it to the Stanley Cup, and who we think is going to win the Stanley Cup, who's going to be the Hart winner, the Norris, and who's going to win the Vezina. So, because we said it on air, on the two ball guys show, it's going to happen.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
It in.
Lock
Lock
it in.
it.
If you got a if you're a gambler, go put a couple dollars on it. It's going to happen.
We don't have any gamblers in the league, do we, Jean?
No,
Nobody that put money down on stuff.
No.
That'd be just wrong.
Not on sports.
Not on sports.
Never happened.
Okay, I am trying to load up. What's going on here?
While you're doing that,
has there
been any trades?
Oh, there is a trade that everyone's talking about.
Well, I figured, like since
did you want to talk
so much
about
attention? So all on the same day, because there was two trades.
I'll call up the thing here in a second. Get to the main screen.
This week, there was three trades. Between Seattle and Toronto. Simon Zettel, Buffalo's first in 2025, and Ottawa's third in 2025 for EJ Emery, and Seattle's third in 2027. So
I, yeah, I don't like I don't know what I want to say about this even more, but I don't understand why trading EJ Emery was a good move. Like,
no,
I,
yeah,
you had a
uh,
good defensive prospect. You should have kept him.
I agree with you on that one. He
But
got
to be
value.
fair,
He
what's that?
got value. I just don't like the fact that you gave up. I'm a really big fan of EJ Emery, but as I said last week, I think or the week before, I think Emery um, is going to be a fourth, fifth defenseman. Like he's not going to be a top three on any team in the NHL or DCHL,
Nope.
but I think he's going to be a good NHL goal defenseman, and DCHL he's going to be solid.
Yeah,
So
I heard a comparison. I think it was to Baumgartner, right?
yeah,
Like that big defensive guy that
that can skate, and you know he's not going to get points. He's not going to, but he's going to be solid.
but you're
So
up 2-1 in the third period, you're putting them on the ice.
yeah.
So
So and 2025 first, Buffalo is going to be a late first, and Zetter is a big Swedish center. Um, and he could end up doing something. Maybe, maybe not.
I
And the third
wasn't big
round
on
picks,
that.
they're going to be third round picks could be a wash. The only thing is,
Well,
Seattle's getting
Zach does believe that his team will beat my team.
yes, but the
So
third round pick for Seattle is going to be 2027. So
oh, it's a 2027 third round pick.
yeah,
Oh my god.
so
Uh,
so we'll go. We'll see what happens there.
I
And
forget the trade deal that Zach and I were talking this week, but it was something, and then he was throwing in the 2027 second round pick, and I'm like, I ain't waiting on a 2027 second round pick. Like, sorry, man, but you might.
yeah,
I'd rather have a fifth round pick this year, or maybe that's a bad example to use based off today's discussions. But like a mid round pick this year is more valuable to me than a 2027 second round pick. So,
yeah, because 2027 second round pick, you're 3 years away in the draft, and then you're 3 years away before that player plays on your team in the
yeah,
DCHL at minimum. So that's 6 years from now.
and that's if you hit it.
2030,
That's if you do well on the second round pick.
yeah. So
So,
and then we have Calgary trading a fourth in 2027. The 2027 picks are like a commodity right now.
I guess it must be a good year for the draft.
Yeah, and 1.5 million for Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and he was having a really good camp in Colorado. So I think he made the team because he was. I got heard some news that he was doing really well in the NHL Colorado.
And you think these trades would be the controversial ones? No, Jean. No.
No,
This
so
coming up right now is the huge controversy in the DCHL.
I think you should have given up a 2027 fifth round pick instead of 2025 first round fifth round pick at this point.
You
You
know, I
overpaid.
tried, but Gage was really tough, man. He was like, he said, "No, I've already got a 2027 fourth. I don't need an extra 2027 fifth. Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to it, man. 2025 fifth round pick." And I buckled. I'm not gonna lie, I just buckled. The pressure got to
and
me.
$500,000.
Well, see, I
Well,
thought that was fair because he didn't want to have to pay. He wanted to get a new coach. I would have kept the money and just went with McClellan. He's not a bad coach. He's well decent rated, but
yeah,
he didn't want to have to pay for it. So I said, okay, I'll give you 500K and
fifth round pick
a
for
fifth
Jared
round.
Bednar.
I
And
don't know.
some GMs in the DCHL think that that's not enough.
I if one of them wants to give me $13 million for Jared Bednar, we can talk.
Yeah.
Like,
So, you know, and I'm not gonna try to justify your trade or not. Like, it's a trade, it's a coach. I haven't seen that much of a difference between coaches in the DCHL. Not that I've noticed, and maybe that's going to be a show that we need to try to figure out. But to me, from what I've seen in the last four years or so that I've been in the league, I haven't seen the coaches make that much of a difference. But there was no there was no bidding war to get Bednar. When John Cooper was a free agent, there was a bidding war, and there was at least two guys that wanted him. So they went up to 13 million.
and
And
I'll add to that, like that was insane.
it was. And and since Philly's the one that won Bednar, right? Cooper.
Cooper, I don't know, maybe. I don't
Oh, I'm
even.
going to check right now because
I
I'm
don't.
curious because I'm pretty sure it was Cooper. Yes. So Philly has not made the finals since they've had John Cooper. I think there was 2 years, two
Well,
playoffs, and they haven't made the finals. So that doesn't make that much of a difference in the DCHL. And if I'm wrong, guys, please come on the show and prove me wrong. It's going to
I
be
like.
entertaining at
I
the
will
very
say
least.
I believe there is a slight difference on coaches. Like I think they have a small effect on your team, but I don't think it's big. And if somebody wants to spend 13 million on a coach, that ain't going to be me. Even if it was, Scotty Bowman from the 70s, I ain't. Tote Blake comes back to coach. I ain't. I ain't dropping that kind of coin. Like,
Hmm.
because other people overspent on a coach, I should. I don't think so. So,
So
and if
I
that's
think
the most controversial trade out of the three here, I think I must have a very different evaluation of EJ Emery than now. I will say that at least that's a somewhat fair trade. I will say that's a somewhat fair trade, but
it's could he have
it
gotten
makes
him
no
more?
sense.
Maybe because if he didn't put him on the block, maybe somebody would have said, you know what, I'll give you a third. Maybe I'll give you a second.
I'll give you a 2025 fourth round pick.
You know, so Gage decided not to put him on the block, and he was satisfied with a 2025 fifth and $500,000. So
Well, I guess if I win the cup this year, I'll be able to totally say it's because of Jared Bednar and not the shrewd GMing.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Well, because we know it can't be that. So
Can't be the shrewd GM.
it cannot be that. So
Okay.
I will be the first to acknowledge that. So there you go. It'll be the coaching trade that I made.
Yep.
So okay, so um, what how I see this, John, and we talked a little bit, is we'll go over each of the trophies,
Yep.
the Vesna, the Norris, and the Hart. We're not going to do Rookie of the Year because I didn't want to spend the time right now looking up who was on the Rookie of the Year and who wasn't. Because if they don't have that little R, they could still be a rookie. And I didn't want to spend the time trying to figure that shit out. And plus,
And
I have a bee up my bonnet because Uri Slavkovsky's in his first year in the DCHL. I consider him Rookie of the Year eligible. So I will be tracking him as the unofficial Rookie of the Year candidate.
so my question is, we have player leaderboards. Sean Couturier, Josh Norris, and Cam Atkinson are on the top rookies.
But
So
Uri Slavkovsky is not.
so is that going to be changed? Is that just for the preseason, or is that gonna happen?
Well, like they're not eligible for the award. Like Cam Atkinson is not eligible for Rookie of the Year.
And Josh Norris
Neither
couldn't
is Sean
either,
Couturier.
and Sean
Josh
Couturier.
Norris, like, yeah, no. Um, and I would need to look at like Matthew Poitras should be. I haven't looked at his
Yeah,
age.
he was a rookie
Not,
last year in the NHL, and
yeah,
Stankoven should also be because he was a rookie last year
yeah.
in the NHL.
But
So
like, there's guys that don't have that R by their name that are eligible. So that's why I didn't want to spend the time today and look it up because I'd have to look at every roster and then look at age and NHL experience and all that. And I just didn't want to waste my time. So plus
yeah.
I went for a run today. It was really good.
Oh,
And my
good for you.
dog's been in pain. So
Good for you going for a run. Good
well,
job.
I try to. I try to get you gotta work to have this svelte figure, Sean.
I know, I know exactly what you're saying.
Now that we're YouTube stars, I've gotta work out to keep this, to keep
Yeah,
all my
well,
fans.
exactly. Keep the fans happy. That's
Yeah.
the most important part.
I think maybe one episode we should do this topless.
Uh,
Maybe we do it
we're gonna lose.
topless. We do
We're
it
gonna
topless
lose.
until we get to 30 subscribers.
We're gonna lose followers.
Okay, uh, so we'll start off with Vesna, and I'll just flip to the goalies here. We'll go to the page that is goalies. And what I did, and I actually figured this out after I had looked at all the goalies in the league, but these are the top goalies based off of OV in the league.
Okay.
And I also, when I looked at opportunity and quality of defensive players in front of the goalie, thinking that would be an impact on
Mm-hmm.
it would be a Vesna candidate or not. And also, I think you would agree Connor Hellebuck is one of the best sim goalies in the league.
Yes.
So, I mean, I start off with my list started off with Connor Hellebuck as the number one candidate for the Vesna this year.
Yeah.
Uh, Great. Like, he
The
seems
sim
every
loves
year
him, and rightly so because he's been he's great in the NHL, and so yeah, he
yeah,
deserves all the accolades and all uh the love that he's getting from the sim.
well, and he's on a top tier team as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to get the wins, and you feel good about the 90% save percentage. And
Well,
yeah,
let's be honest. The as much as Freddie Anderson is now on the Florida Panthers, and Freddie Anderson took the St. Louis Blues to the Stanley Cup and won the Stanley Cup, so the sim likes him. But the sim is not going to like him enough on my team to make him win the Vezina. There's just the team's just not good enough
no.
in front of him. As an
So
example,
okay, the
so
second goalie on my list is Igor Shesterkin.
he's also on my list.
And Buffalo, like I don't know that Buffalo Shesterkin doesn't have the love of the sim as much as Connor
Well,
Hellebuck,
okay,
but
wait.
he's got a really good team in front of him.
He's won 2 Stanley Cups in the last
Did
3 years.
Shesterkin win the first one?
Yes,
Oh,
he's won 2 Stanley Cups for Buffalo.
no, he hasn't.
Who was the goalie before?
I don't know, but he only has the 16 wins once in the playoffs.
Well, okay, I'm corrected. Yeah, so you won the Stanley Cup.
I'm not. Again, I don't want people saying I'm shitting on Shesterkin. He's like one of the top goalies in
No,
the
no, no,
league.
no, no.
He's my second pick to win the Vezina, and I just think that he's got a slightly tougher road through Buffalo than what Hellebuck has through Calgary. You want to add anything on Shesterkin?
No, I think he is he he's one of the best goalies in the NHL and the DCHL. So I completely agree with you. And Buffalo is a good team. Buffalo is the best team in the Atlantic. So he deserves to be there.
A third idea is a little uh less of like it definitely is a big drop from the top two, but the third goalie I have is Vasilevsky, and it's mostly just because I love Vasilevsky, not the situation he's in San Jose, although
Yeah.
it is a playoff caliber-ish team. I just think he's that good of a goalie that he could be in the run.
See, I have Shesterkin second. I have Hellebuck third, and I have Vasilevsky fifth in my rating.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's not too different though, but you'll hear my fourth, and this one might be. I might have to do some explainings on this one, but I have to go with Jacob Markstrom in Vegas.
Okay, he's not in my top five.
There you go.
And
Good.
he's not in my top five.
Well, he's highly rated to begin with,
Yes. And
and
Vegas has a good team.
Vegas has a good team, and they've got some really solid defensive players.
Like
And I just think that
Card, it should have won the Hart last year.
the player who should have won the Hart, Kale McCarr.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that there's definitely an opportunity there, and for Markstrom. And my last one, giving some love to Utah, the new Utah, and I've actually got it right this time with Ottinger. I think he was a finalist last year.
Yes, I think so. And he is my fourth rated goaltender.
So who do you have that's different than I?
At number one, coming
Oh,
out of
wow.
nowhere with the Vancouver Canucks, Jeremy Swayman.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Who signed
He,
his contract today
yeah,
in the
signed his
NHL?
contract today. He had a really good year in the NHL last year, and he's playing. There's a really good team in front of him. Really good
Well,
defenseman, tough team. So I think Swayman is going to do really well, and it's gonna take Vancouver pretty far.
very cool. Very cool. I can't argue with that one.
So
So we'll go to defense. And unfortunately, I can't separate defense here. But number one, 100% number one for the Norris Trophy for me going into the season, Cale McCarr.
so he's number one for me also.
I injustice that he didn't win last year for the Hart, because I think his performance last year is what carried Vegas through their season, and I just can't. There's just no argument. He is the top defenseman in the NHL, and I think he's the top defenseman in the DCHL.
Yeah,
Beyond just rating.
completely agree. And if somebody doesn't agree and doesn't think he should be at least top two, come on the show and tell us why.
They're
Because
allowed to be wrong.
yep, they can be wrong. You know?
Okay, number two on my list, Sim God defenseman, winner of he has a Norris Trophy already. Jared Spurgeon signed in Winnipeg this offseason. I and Randy won't trade him. And I think the only reason he wasn't a contender last year was because he got traded.
Yeah. He got traded to the Islanders. So
Yeah.
he got the
So
curse of flax.
the curse of flax. So I mean, the sim gods love him.
I
And
I I agree with you. He's the sim gods love him. But he's not in my top five.
wow, that
Not in my
surprises me
top five.
actually.
So
That surprises me more than having Swayman as your number one goalie. Honestly.
I considered him. I just had five other guys that I had ahead of him.
Okay, my number three
Okay.
from Carolina, Rasmus Dahlin.
Ooh, he's not on my list either.
Oh wow, this is going to be a real interesting
I know, eh?
conversation.
And I considered him too.
I I mean, this might be a little personal bias too, but I've always loved Dahlin from when he was drafted, and Carolina's a decent team, and defensemen like that on teams like that tend to put up points, and definitely see him as a guy who could be a candidate this year.
Yep, I agree with you that he should be a candidate. I just don't have him in my top five.
Okay, number four,
Yeah.
a little bit of a, and this is a gamble only because the GM tends to trade players a lot. Although this player might be hard to trade because of the contract. I have John Carlson, who's with Boston, as the fourth.
John Charles. You know that he's traded him like a couple times already, eh?
Yeah, I know.
And he's
I'm
not on
just
my list
saying that
either.
a top end defenseman, he'll be a number
Yeah.
one defenseman on the team. He'll get lots of minutes, lots of power play time. He should, if he doesn't get traded and he plays, he should get good points, good numbers,
Yeah.
which tends to how people select the North.
So we're pretty like um different for our defensemen.
Okay, well, and number five, and this is me doing a little self love. I'm picking Aaron Ekblad
He
as
was
a
on
potential guy.
not on my list, but another guy I consider.
I just think because he's going to get opportunity. He had a really good preseason, a point per
Yeah.
game. I see him as a guy who can score 20 plus goals and you know 50 assists. Then you're starting to talk almost a point per game.
And he's a
And,
good defensive player.
and he's a good defensive player. So,
Yep. I like he was on my list. I like him, but he was not in my top five.
well, I'm dying to hear your top five because you had one that I had.
Yeah, Kale McCarr, number one. At
Well,
number
this will be
two, Quinn Hughes.
okay. I feel like I've missed that one.
Quinn Hughes won the Norris last year in the NHL, so that he's going to get a bump from the sim
Yeah.
automatically because of that, and he's just awesome. He's a really good defenseman. Number
The
three on my,
shortest defenseman Joe's ever liked, by the way.
I know him and Kale McCarr. And then my number three defenseman, I'm going to surprise you completely off the board. And he plays for a team that I completely despise in the NHL. Morgan Riley.
Wow. Okay.
And the
Where is
reason
he? Is he Nashville this year?
he's in Nashville, okay? The reason why I have him uh number three on my in my top five and number three on my list is the Nashville GM is going to be participating. So he's going to be setting his lineup, looking at how to, set his lineup and give the ratings for his defense pairing. Make sure that Riley plays on the power play, plays on the PK. Also, that number one line that he's going to be playing with is going to be awesome. And he traded for SL Lindell. That's going to be a really good defensive partner for him. So I like his setup. I like his teammates, and I think he's going to get a really good opportunities in Nashville.
Yeah, I can't argue. Like, what's funny is I don't think either of us can argue much with the people we've selected.
Yeah.
So,
Then my fourth pick is Victor Edmond. I know he's getting long in the tooth, but again, he's going to be playing in Vancouver. Vancouver is a really good team. He's going to get all the opportunities playing with really good players. So I think he's going to get an opportunity there. And my last pick, it was at number 5, is Adam Fox. I think he's another guy that the sim loves. The sim loves, and he is.
oh, that's separate.
Yeah, I think he's in a good situation. He's going to get tons of opportunity playing for the Kings. So that's who I have in my top 5,
Very
which is
good.
nice that we have like 9 different players.
I kind of like it that it's different.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go to Hart.
yeah.
And I'll say this. I selected only forwards for the
Okay.
Hart.
I did not.
But I will be the first to say that I'm perfectly fine with a goalie or a defenseman winning the Hart. I just, in my thinking today, I just was looking at forwards. So Jean's going to have a defense. Like, I mean, Cale Makar is a perfect example of a player that.
And that's who I have as my number 1 choice.
So, like, if Cale Makar's on the ballot at the end of the year, I will have a hard time not voting for Cale Makar.
Yep.
And he's not on my list, but I, my list is not good actually, probably compared to yours, Jean. My number 1 is probably the most obvious one in the league, and that's Connor McDavid.
It's hey, you're right, and I'm wrong because I have him at number 3. And the only reason I have him number 3 is, we keep saying how the sim loves certain players. For some reason, the sim despises Connor McDavid.
He's never had a monster year.
No. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I was looking at the top scorers in DCHL, and Connor McDavid was not even in the top like 50 or 60. He was like way down there below everybody else. And look at last year, 83 points for Connor McDavid.
Which is good, but for Connor
No, it's
McDavid,
awful.
that's really a disappointing year. Like,
Yes. Like his best year was 110 points.
yeah,
In the
which
sim,
again, you go, wow, that's great, but like he puts up 130 in the NHL, and
60,
it's like,
60
yeah,
goals. And so, yeah. So I think Connor McDavid, the sim doesn't like him. So that's why I have him third. And I have him third out of respect for his game. But I don't have him number 1 because the sim doesn't like him.
okay. My number 2 is from Vancouver, Leon Draisaitl,
I
and
have him
again,
5. I have him number 5.
I just again like. I'm a big Leon Draisaitl fan. Like I really like the way he plays. I like, in the NHL finals, he was hurt. And anyone, if you couldn't watch the final and not notice that he was hurt, like I don't
Yeah.
know what you were watching.
No.
'Cause
Oh,
he
yeah.
was he was
Well,
80% of himself.
the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, you had playoff Leon, and playoff Leon was the best player in the game.
Yeah.
First 2 rounds of the playoffs. He was just amazing. And then he got hurt in the 3rd round. So,
So, and
yeah, I have him 5th on my list.
okay. Number 3 is a bit of a I don't know if that's a surprise. Again, I'm looking at players that are going to be in good positions, opportunities to score, playoff caliber teams, and they're going to put up numbers. And New York Islanders, Nikita Kucherov. Like if he
He's not on
doesn't
my
put up
list.
100 points,
He's not on my list. And the only reason he's not on my list is because just like Spurgeon last year, Kucherov got the Flax curse, and he went to the Islanders and he sucked. Like, let's we need to look at him
sure. Where is he here? There he
because
is.
look at his stats last year. 23 points in 33 games. Like,
Well,
that's
he did
awful.
better than the 18 he put up on your fourth line or wherever you had him,
He was playing third line.
third line, which is better than the shit minutes he got in New York where he was on their fourth line or not playing at all.
No, he's playing 15,
No,
18, no, 19 minutes a game.
when he played for the Rangers,
The Islanders. Oh, when he was playing for
yeah,
the
five
Rangers.
minutes and 47 seconds per game,
Yeah.
and he
He,
still scored 14 points.
yeah. So, but he did not have a good season in with the Islanders. So that's why I don't have him on my list. He
He
got
might
cursed by
be the
by
least
Black.
performing superstar player in the DCHL history
Yeah. It's
through no fault of his own.
I know. So that's why I don't have him there because he got cursed by Flax.
Okay, now number 4. I think this GM is due for a player to have a monster breakout season. And this is the kind of player that would do it. From Philadelphia, Jack Hughes.
He is number 4 on my list.
It's 4 on mine. There you
Yeah.
go. I
Again, extremely talented player in a really good situation on a really good team. He's going to get tons of opportunities. So, yeah, I agree with you.
and again another player who hasn't put up huge numbers yet.
No,
But I would I would be really surprised if he's not like in the range of 100 points this season.
I think he's going to have a breakout year this year
Yeah.
in the DCHL.
Okay. My number 5 is probably my biggest reach of this whole episode. David Pasternak in LA.
Ooh, I don't hate it.
Playing with Sidney Crosby. I think you or I could score 20 points in the NHL if we
Yeah,
played with Sidney Crosby.
absolutely.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Like, I'll just stick my face in front of the net, Sydney. You just slap it in off my face. That's fine.
yeah. Just
But, and a good team, good opportunity, a guy who can score. I looked at his scoring rating and it was really high.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, and he's with Sidney Crosby. Like, I don't know what the lines will be in LA, but you got to think that that'd be a
He's
duo you'd want playing together.
he's a top 3 rated player in the DCHL. So
What's his scoring? That was 93 scoring.
yeah.
Like, like 50 goals is not out of the realm of possibility here.
So and what did he
What's he done in the
um,
past?
last year? Only 61 points. That's very disappointing. 99 in Vancouver the year before that, and 88, 78 the year before that,
Yeah.
or 80.
He
So
had a 90-point season in Boston, but he probably wasn't just with Boston. It's hard to believe anyone would just spend the whole season in Boston.
he did 82 games.
No, but the sim when Matt switched over to the site, some of the data got
Okay.
composed. So
Okay.
I'd have to look in my records, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So, but David Pasternak, I like it. So okay, so who do you have that I don't? Just Kale McCarr?
Cale McCarr is my number one choice. Because he should have won it last year, and he's awesome, and the sim loves him, and maybe the GMs in the DCHL will come to their senses and vote him in, because that's who deserved the heart last year. And my number two player was Barkov. I think
Oh,
he's the guy that won last year, and he's
from Florida
playing
or
for
Utah.
Utah, and yeah, he's a really good player. Plays for this, does well with the sim, and he's in a good situation. He's going to get tons of opportunities, and
Yep,
uh, and Trevor knows how to set up his lineups.
yep. Okay. So that's the awards. That
Yes,
and you heard it here first. Any of those, well, I guess 9 guys for the Norris
yeah.
and
You just got to figure out which one. See
eight
if we throw
guys
a
for
whole
Hart.
if if we throw a lot of shit against the wall, some of it will stick.
That's the motto I live by every day.
And we will be right. But one of the guys.
We just got to do another episode and make it exactly the same as this, but then
Yeah,
just pick entirely different players.
yeah.
And that'll be the one we.
And then we'll just say, look, I said it.
Okay. So the why we are here is
So,
who is going to be the final four and the semifinals, and then who are going to be in the finals, and then ultimately who's going to win it all.
yeah.
And John, I've let out this. I'll give you the floor if you want to do yours first, or if you
Okay.
want me to go first, I'm
Well,
happy to
why
do
don't we
that.
start with the East? I'll start with the East, and then you go. Who you
Okay.
have? Coming out of the
Hold,
Atlantic.
hold on though, Jean. Before you say, did you take into account the Jared Bednar trade today?
No.
Do you want to rethink your choices now that you know that Ottawa has acquired Jared Bednar?
Well, yeah, because since you got him for such a steal, I think it might be the difference. But no, I don't have Ottawa as the coming out of the Atlantic. I have Buffalo coming out of the Atlantic again. I think there's still nobody good enough to beat out the Sabres.
I also have selected Buffalo
'Cause-
to come out on top of all the other teams, including the Jared Bednar Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be really surprised if I mean I'd be
So
happy if it was me, but I'd be really surprised if it wasn't Buffalo.
yeah, I think Buffalo. As much as Ian thinks that we shit on his team, um, I think that they're just better than everybody else. So
Yep. Again, that gap is getting smaller. We've said that before, but I
still,
still think that they're the team to beat.
absolutely.
So,
And the coming out of the Metro, I have the Philadelphia Flyers.
well, this isn't going to be a lot of fun if we're agreeing all the time because I have Philadelphia as well
Okay.
coming out of the Metro.
Wow.
And I'm a New Jersey Devils fan. Well, not the actual NHL team, but I do like how Mark runs his team.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's him, but I kind of feel that this might be Philly's year.
Yeah. So 5 weeks ago, I thought Philly was gonna be at the top of the league, and I still stand by that. So
Okay.
coming out of the Central Division, again, I'm gonna stand by what I said 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago now, and that was the Utah Jazz hockey team.
I'm going to choose the Utah Supersonics hockey team. Uh, no, I also selected Utah. I think as good as the Central is, I think the gap between them, between Utah and the others, is that much bigger. Like,
Yeah,
and I that would be the least surprising if they made it of all the teams here. I think that would be the least surprising.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
finally,
then coming out
the
of the
Pacific.
Pacific, and I chose them last week to be to win the division, the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, see, because I looked at it as the playoffs being different, and I think a little bit of justice is going to come the way of after last year's playoff disappointment. I think LA is going to get some sim love and get to the finals.
So LA is going to make it to the conference finals, and now you just said they will make it to the finals.
Yeah,
They're even going to beat out Utah.
I believe that. Yeah, and they've
Oh,
got a great team, and
it's you know what? I I can't say that you're wrong. As much as I like Vancouver, I think LA is a really good choice also.
but again, the West, there's so many teams that
Yeah.
like there's six teams that we could do like a how does LA win it episode. We could do five other teams with exactly the same kind
Yep.
of content.
Completely agree. And for since you said that you had LA going to the finals, I have the Utah Jazz hockey team
You're
going
gonna
to.
call them that all year, aren't you?
uh, I think they're going to make it to the finals.
Yeah, I think that's a great team, and the
And
storyline of JL and Trevor up against each other
that
would be
that would be
fun.
a lot of fun. And uh, and it might not play out in the sim, but that is like up in the mountains. It's gonna where the air is thinner. It's gonna make a difference in the NHL. So it might not play out
In the
in
sim.
the sim, but I think that will make a difference. So, and coming out of the East, I have the Philadelphia Flyers coming out of the East in the finals. I think that's the first time the finals.
No, they've made the finals before. Josh has pointed this out, and I believe they have. I
Okay.
think they might have lost to Will.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So yeah, I have Philly coming out of the East as well, defeating Buffalo.
So
And
you have Philly and LA, and I have
Philly
Philly.
LA final,
Yeah,
and you have Philly Utah.
yeah. Who do you have winning?
I am sticking with my LA to win the overall champion of the
And I
DCHL.
and I have Utah.
There you go. So we're both picking the West.
Yeah. Hey, it's yeah. I've said it many times how good I think the Utah franchise is, and Philly's also good because I took them to make it to the final. So
Yep. So this week it all starts.
starting on Thursday,
Are you? I am really jacked for the start of the season.
I I'm jacked, but I know my team is not going to be competing. So
you
I'm building for the future, continue to build for the future. And so I have a couple guys. I'm deciding if I'm gonna keep them or try to trade them for more future players. And that this like every day it's like, yeah, I'm trading him. Nah, I'm keeping him. Yeah, I'm gonna trade him. So you got to see how things are working out.
well,
But
I I have not been this excited for a start of a season in a while, and it's not like I don't think it's because all of a sudden my team's great or anything like it. I feel I am very realistic about my team this year.
Oh, you have a shot.
I have a shot,
You have a
but
shot.
I feel there's probably 10 to 15, maybe 16 teams that have a better shot than me. Like,
I wouldn't say that. I
but
I say I have you in the top 12.
no, I mean, when I say that, I wasn't necessarily considering who my new coach was,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Got to
I,
take you over the top.
it's just going to be fun to watch, and that's why I do this, and that's what I'm looking for. So my
I'm
wife
looking
just said
forward.
she believes in me, so I
Good.
feel like I have my wife's support.
I know.
What else? What else do I need?
You don't need anything else.
Jared Bednar and my wife.
So,
I
like,
am.
yeah, they're going to take you to the finals. So, like, for me, since my team is in developing, I'm looking forward to some of the players that I've acquired that I believe are they're going to start to improve. So, uh, I want to see how they're progressing. I want to see them getting better. So,
So did you see Jacob Pelche was sent down today?
I know.
Since we got a little extra time here.
Well, I don't know if you saw this. Somebody tweeted out, and don't know who it was, that the Calgary Flames released and put Marty St. Louis on waivers, and he got picked up by the Tampa Bay Lightning. He won a scoring championship, he won a Hart Trophy, and he won a Stanley Cup. And then they released a couple of years later, they released Paul Byron, and he got picked up to Montreal Canadiens, and he became one of their best players, and became one of their captains, and so now Jacob Pelche got put on waivers. So
I,
let's see
I
if he picks him up. He's
I was
gonna.
chatting with Mark Gaudreau, who you know is a Calgary Flames fan today, about
Yeah.
this because I'm actually in support of because he did not Jacob Pelche did not play great. He did not play well in the
No,
preseason. He did not earn a spot
no,
in
I
the
agree.
roster. And like he needs to go down to the AHL, or you need to give him like if they're going to keep him just for the fourth line, then
No,
there's no point.
no.
So either
So
send him down or send him to a team where he's going to play top six.
yeah,
And if he gets picked up off of waivers by a team like San Jose or like San Jose and Columbus are the two that came to mind because Columbus signed Kevin Labanc. I feel like Columbus would be better off taking a guy like Jacob Pelche than having Kevin Labanc.
yeah,
So, like, just give him an opportunity to play and see what you got. Like,
hmm,
you
yeah,
pick him up, it's just a little bit of cash to claim a guy off waivers. So,
exactly.
like,
Uh, yeah, I read. I didn't see any of the Flames games, but I read a lot about hockey, as I've said before, and I read and I heard through a podcast that he hasn't been playing well. He's been a major disappointment.
I watched him a couple games, like, or a couple periods in a couple games. Like, I didn't watch entire games,
Hmm.
but when he was in like his first season, he was dynamic on the puck, high energy, and he's just not that right now. He's not playing like that. And I don't know if it's because of the injury or he's overthinking things or what's going on in his head, but he ain't NHL caliber right now. So if he has to go back to the AHL to figure shit out, because he was one of the best AHL players I've ever seen. Like he was bloody Connor McDavid. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but he was dominant at times in the AHL.
So, two guys in Calgary that I heard in the same podcast that were doing really well in training camp was Connor Zary and Martin Pospisil.
Well, and Hanzek has been amazing.
Oh yes, but he hasn't signed his contract, or has he? Because I've read that too. that yesterday or today that
Well,
Samuel
I
Lanza
assumed
has
I
been
assumed when they put Pelche on waivers, it was because they were going to keep Hansa.
so. Oh, Coronado was the other one.
Oh, he's been great too.
Yeah,
So I mean, if you're gonna keep these young guys, you keep the ones that are putting up the numbers and performing.
exactly. So Pelche has not been performing.
So send them, send them. And like I said, my hope is that as the GM who has him in the DCHL, I hope he gets picked up by a team like Columbus. And they
Yeah.
just here's 40 games. Show us what you got.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
don't play well for 40 games, we're sending you back down. Go to Cleveland. You get picked up, you're not our problem. But
You yeah. You got to prove what you got, right?
yeah,
It's not because you're a first round pick that you automatically get a spot.
well,
So.
and I've seen the talent. I've seen it in him. So, like I said, I don't know if the injury is a problem because he was injured a lot last year,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if it's just like what's going on in his head. But oh, and you heard about Jack Campbell too, right?
Yeah. He's
Substance abuse program.
yeah.
That was like I had never heard anything about that, but that was like some of the least surprising news because you knew
But
something had to be going on.
it's not always substance abuse, right? It's player
Assistance, like
assistance.
well,
And
it could be like mental issues or
yes, like um, yeah, because
mental health.
mental health issues also that could be one of the
Yeah,
issues.
sure.
So,
But you know, there's something that's going in my mind. There's something going on off the ice.
yep,
That's a problem because he was just too good of a goalie to
to go from
where he was to where he is.
yeah. So
So, okay, is there anything else you want to talk about?
no, I
We've
think
been on. This is one of
well,
our short.
I'm looking forward as a Sens fan. I'm looking forward to this year's season because the preseason has been awesome, and I can't wait until Thursday night to for the Sens to play.
You know who they're playing?
No,
Oh wow, Sean. My
I
opening game of the season is against the Florida Panthers.
really I didn't
Yes,
even I didn't even know who they were playing. I just knew they were playing Thursday.
I've been stressing over who I'm starting as my number one goalie for this game for like weeks.
So we're playing each other for the first game of the
First game
DCHL
of the year,
season.
buddy.
Oh my God! So
First game. And I don't know if it's in Florida or if it's in Ottawa, but I would assume Ottawa because Ottawa's going to have that huge break of no home games at Christmas.
yeah, because of the World Juniors.
Yeah, you're going.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, I'm
And
looking forward to. I every year I guess we do this to ourselves, but I'm really thinking this team is good this year and with the goaltending and if Allmark can
it's just going to be so different. It's in Ottawa. I knew that because I just was with my friend that has season tickets, and he was telling me he's going to the game on Thursday night. But like this year is different. It's like I don't know if you watched a game on Friday night where Forsberg was playing, and then Saturday night when Omar is playing. It's like Forsberg gave up two shitty goals, and Allmark didn't give up any shitty goals. Made, you know, quick, good save, quality saves, and
I just remember the game he was his first game when he was playing with basically an AHL lineup in front of him.
yeah,
And he was just getting peppered the whole like he played the first half of the game and
yeah,
he was just peppered the whole first half and you just kept waiting to see him break and he didn't. Like I think he gave up a goal.
yeah. Like
But
28 saves out of 29 shots
and he was
in
absolutely brilliant.
half a game. So
And he's playing with scrubs in front of him.
Yeah,
Like, so, hopefully, crossing my fingers.
I know.
So,
And Carter Yakimchuk looks like he made the team.
like, I, just for the first 8 or 9 or whatever.
They, right now, they haven't sent them down, and the rumors that they're going to announce the team tomorrow, and it looks like he's made the team.
He earned it. Like I like as much as I didn't. Okay, you and I never hated the pick. Like we never
No.
hated it. But as much as we didn't love it, he has really earned. Like I think
Mhm.
he's played better than any of the other guys that I've seen
He's been awesome.
in the preseason.
Yeah.
Like and I've watched a lot of him, and it's like, holy shit, man! Like he's more an Eric Carlson, more of an Eric Carlson. Without Carlson was better at the passing. Yakimchuk's better at the shooting, and maybe even he's as good as him in the skating. Like,
Oh, skating, Carlson is on a league of his own. I've yeah, it's yeah. Carlson is, but I
uh,
understand what you're saying. It's
it's
like his
just
puck handling and the calmness with the puck, and it's the hockey sense to me. Like that was one of the things that was questioned a lot before the draft is hockey sense, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
well, he's I like I don't know that he's NHL ready, like
But
for a full 82 games, but I don't know that he's not 82 game NHL ready.
I would like him to play 9 games. And the reason why I want him to play 9 games is I think the 9 game mark takes him to on a first road trip. And I'd like him to go on a first road trip this year. So next year when he comes and he makes the team and he's part of the Ottawa Senators, he's like the first road trip won't be a such a ah moment for him. He
Yeah.
will have lived it already. And playing 9 games is in the NHL is going to be good for him. He goes back, plays a month for Calgary, and then goes to the World Juniors.
Well, yeah, there's no way he's not. If he doesn't make the NHL, there's no way he's not on Canada's World Junior team.
Yeah. So
Like, yeah, no, he's. I've just been so impressed at him the whole, and I kept wanting, not wanting, but waiting for the. Okay, there's the 18-year-old kid.
yeah,
Like, he's not ready, and
yeah.
he's not shown me that he's not like he. I've seen him pick up the wrong guy. I've seen him uh maybe give like a stick swing on a puck that he probably shouldn't have. He should have held his
Yeah.
position more. But that's stuff that's going to be coached out of him quick, and he's going to learn quick. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not send him to junior.
No, no,
That's just coach him and let him learn. But
I agree.
damn, what in
Looking
overtime,
forward to it.
he's amazing in overtime.
Yeah. So,
Like,
like to me, he's been better than JBD and Amonic.
oh,
So,
no doubt.
so until he proves that he's not good enough, you keep him.
Yeah.
So,
And you think Clevin's making the team?
yeah, they need his physicality. They need him to be there.
See, this is the problem I have living in the Toronto area is we never hear anything from the Toronto media about Ottawa.
You have to go to podcasts, eh?
Yes. I do the Sens locked on Sens guys.
Yeah, me too.
But
Locked on, coming in hot.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are my
Okay.
two.
I think we'll call it here. And I don't know, we'll maybe do a show in the next week or so. Like I don't know.
Next week I'm just no,
It's
I'm out.
Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving and I have family coming over. So
So yeah, not next week because I'm the same. And I have a swim meet in the morning, Sunday morning. So it's gonna be a long day.
so, so let's see if we can do one in a couple of weeks.
Sure. We can talk about how our teams are doing and how the league is going, and
How Jared Bednar has taken your team over the top.
we're 10-0 or whatever the record is at that point. So really interested to hear the comments that are going to be on all the Jared Bednar comments, because holy shit, that turned into
No.
something out of nothing.
So, and we're gonna have to comment because I know there's a few trades that happened that will be put together as soon as the season starts, right?
You know what? Maybe I'll end our show off with this, because we didn't talk about my other rule suggestion at all, and I'm okay with that. But how about this for a rule? Any UFA that is signed for more than 1 year can't be traded until after 1 year of their contract. Because I do find it kind of ridiculous that a bunch of guys have been signed to UFA contracts, and then on game one they're all going to be traded.
Yeah, I understand, but being a guy that has done that, you have to use all the advantage to your everything to your advantage as much as you can, like to try to make your team better. It this is the DCHL is so tough to improve your team because you need to acquire good assets. And how do you acquire good assets? Well, people are not going to give them to you, you know?
Yep.
So you need to acquire them in three free agency with your first round picks, which take how many years to come through? Like your first and second round picks, those are going to be where the top of your quality is going to be there, and at mostly at the top. And most guys take 2 to 3 years to join your team. And so you need to acquire a lot of those prospects. You need to acquire a lot of draft picks. And how do you do that if you can't acquire
A high
assets
end free
that
agent.
people want to give you those, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. You make a good case. And
So that's
because my
why
case is my case is entirely wrapped around the would
it's
a would a
ridiculous.
would a Steven Stamkos or Jamie Benn signed with a team if they thought that team was going to trade them one game into the season? And I
Yeah,
would say no, they wouldn't.
no.
So the
And I
realism of
understand
it
that.
is my argument. But you're,
I,
I mean, you- I mean, you've almost convinced me I'm wrong, which is hard to do. But I mean,
I agree with that.
like I entirely agree with everything you're saying. It's just I like the realism of the
But
league, and
and I understand what you're saying. Just the frustrating part for if you're a team that's rebuilding is
yeah,
you need assets.
and the
And
league does do a lot of things to make it harder for rebuilding teams, and that
exactly.
we will agree on.
Yeah.
And
It's
like,
like and if you don't, let's say I like I decide I'm blowing up my team like Gage did. Well, now if he doesn't acquire players in free agency, and the only thing he has are the first round picks that he has and the assets he's acquired by blowing up his team,
it'll never happen. Like he'll
it's
never
going
get.
to take 8 years before his team is any good.
Well, and I would say, and by the time he's got those prospects good, they're going to free agency.
Exactly. Because you're going
So
to get
he's
one or
losing
two
them.
guys, right? Like for me, when I through the draft, I acquire a lot of draft picks because like rounds 3 to 7, I hope that I get one guy that makes my team out of every draft, one. And I figure if I get a lot more options, then maybe I can get two guys that make my team.
Well, and this is my suggestion is that we've got to let GMs have, because because that's the first thing. I'm a playoff caliber team and you're not, and I say, oh, you say, Steve, do you want my third line center for your playoff run? And I'll go, okay, let's do it for a fourth round pick, which is kind of fair. But not really when you've already got a full boatload of assets, and now you gotta release somebody who I'm gonna take with my fifth round pick in the next draft. Like, and this is literally what's happening because
Yep.
no one has looked at the draft to the depth that I have,
And
and that is literally happening.
and as I said earlier, when you and I were talking, is the guys that I've released, I look at them and I've released them and I'm like, okay, if they make it to the NHL, they're going to be bottom pairing defensemen or fourth liners for the most part. You might get a guy that gets released like Alexander Nikishin. That's going to happen once in the next decade. The rest of the guys that are getting released are not going to be as good, but it's other assets that I'm putting effort into seeing if they're going to make it. So I know and I can understand, like, well, you need to make a decision, but I understand that it's not easy. I'm just saying, then I have to give up on a couple players or more because I'm at the roster limit.
Yep.
And
I just see it. I see it in players that are getting drafted or that have been released from other teams. It it's just
so
it's you're getting an advantage redrafting these guys because you have more data than they had when they released them.
yeah, like
And
I traded last 2 weeks ago. I traded Vladislav Lukashevich. He's from Russia. He came over 2 years ago from Russia, and I've had him on my team for quite a few years. He's gone to Michigan State, and I think he's going to be a good NHL defenseman. But like I had to make a decision, so I traded
oh,
him
so
away.
you did the same thing I did because I traded Samuel Canasco for the fifth round pick that we're all talking about
Yeah,
to Colorado because I've got so many D, and I think Canasco will eventually be a sixth or seventh defenseman in the NHL.
yeah,
But I have to cut somebody, and I might as well if I can get a fifth round pick for a guy who's buried on my depth chart.
yeah.
I might as well.
So I got some cash for him. I didn't get a lot of cash, but I figure I don't need any more draft picks right now.
But you had to let somebody go.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to let somebody go again next year. So
Yeah.
that's the rationale behind it.
Oh,
And we're not
I would
saying
like to see something.
unlimited.
I would
I'm
like
not
to.
saying unlimited. I'm
Yeah.
saying let's look at what else we can do.
Yep. Because there has to be something. Because it's just getting crazy. It's getting crazy. Like there were players released in the last week or 2 weeks that are now on my list for my draft board for next year.
Mm-hmm.
That I may not draft them, but I'll be watching them. They're all, like, so
Yeah.
Prokhor Poltapov, I drafted last year. Seattle released him, second round pick. Like he
Because
had to make cuts,
you had to cut players. So
and
I'm at the roster limit. Pittsburgh's at the roster limit. Toronto's at the roster limit. I think Seattle's probably at the roster limit, maybe not. You know,
yeah, there's a lot of
Tampa
those.
Bay's close to it.
So yeah, I'd like to see something because it's just it makes it harder for the bottom end teams that are acquiring. We want them to be involved, so we want them drafting. We want them. So
Yeah,
let's give them a shot. I mean, fuck, a seventh round pick. You're waiting. You're going to be waiting 5 years at least.
yeah,
There's there's not a lot of guys that get drafted in the seventh or sixth, seventh round that are in the NHL before 5 years.
exactly.
So let them stew on somebody's prospects list and let them wait and see and not have to drop them so that I can draft him 3 years from now when he's actually hit just about to hit the AHL.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's call it because it's 10
Yeah.
o'clock and
Yeah.
I'm turning
Time to
into
go.
a pumpkin. Okay, boys, we'll see you in a couple weeks, and that will be all.